In a weird way, it affected my life almost in a very positive way. I think I've learned a lot more about myself and like what I want to do with my future because I almost had like all of it taken away from me. I actually started playing hockey when I was 4 years old. That was the first time I skated, and it was really kind of random. No one in my family ever played hockey, and I was the first one. So I'd walk around the house with my rollerblades until, obviously, as I got older, just getting better and better and getting more intense with it. I've developed as a player playing here mostly because I've kind of learned to appreciate like playing every day and like never getting sick of hockey. And sometimes when you're younger, it's easier to think like, oh, I don't want to go to practice or I don't want to go travel this weekend. It's like you look back on it and you're really appreciative of it. Jack has been one of my best friends for a very long time. We grew up in the same town. We actually played on each other's team throughout middle school.
The Moose is a longtime friend and teammate, my roommate. He's a big locker room guy. He's a very skilled player, and I've been on a team with him since about 5th or 6th grade. And we've had great chemistry all through those grade school years, playing hockey and being friends, then all through high school especially, and kind of helped my decision to come down to Alabama with him. So.
My decision process for coming to Alabama was pretty random. Actually, Jack came here and he really liked it, and I know I was talking to the coaches about playing hockey. So I actually visited randomly in the spring, and I was obsessed with the school, the campus, the weather especially, like everything was just perfect. So it was really easy to make a decision to come here. And then once I kind of just visited, it was like, boom, I went home and I was like super excited to come.
His years at Alabama, he's been a great playmaker. He's a player that makes everyone else around him, whoever he's combined with for that certain game, whatever his line is, he makes them better. And he's also just a great attitude and optimistic kid to be on the road trips and at practice around the rink.
I know as a goalie, he's a great playmaker. He sees the ice really well. His shot's deadly accurate. He's a goal scorer for the team. He's really irreplaceable, honestly. I guess there's really no way to describe him as a genuine, pure goal scorer.
We were going out to lunch and Sam, he sneezed and he just dropped to the ground kind of in pain, and we were just thinking like, what's wrong?
And I kind of went back to normal, and I realized I couldn't really see anything, and my hands were tingling. I felt like a lot of blood rushed to my head, and I just knew something wasn't right.
And Mr. Messina was texting me and calling me like crazy, saying, should I come down there? I'm like, no, it'll be a overnight thing. He just, I don't know what's wrong, but he'll be fine.
I actually called my mom, and I was kind of freaking out, whatever, and she was like, all right, we'll go to the hospital.
Then his girlfriend texted us about 30 minutes later that they're at the Tuscaloosa hospital, and
we got to the hospital, and I was there for like 3 hours in the emergency room, and no one really knew like what to think. It was just like, okay, well, something's got to be up, because I was laying there pretty much unconscious. I don't really remember most of the event. And then when I actually got into the hospital room, they kind of did some tests on me, and they were talking and getting back to me, and they said that I had blood like leaking my brain, which just didn't sound very good. So they said it could be an aneurysm. They needed to rush me to Birmingham. So when I got to Birmingham, it was very confusing because we just didn't know what was going on still, and they did more tests, came back and told me it was an AVM.
An AVM is an arteriovenous malformation, and what that is a abnormal collection of blood vessels, and in particular here it's in the brain. And so you have a attachment, if you will, of arteries to veins. Normally they're separated, but they'll come together in a group, and there's communication between those vessels, so they form a large nest, if you will, of blood vessels. And these blood vessels can expand and cause problems such as bleeding or seizures or something like that.
I did not know AVMs existed. I've never heard of it. I just kind of like almost ignored it. That I just didn't want to get myself psyched out, and I didn't want to overwhelm myself with having all this stuff going on in my head. I kind of wanted to just trust doctors and let it happen. They said pretty much, yeah, we're gonna have to like get rid of it. And the doctors there actually didn't want to do surgery, and they said the surgery was too risky because I could like go blind, one little thing goes wrong and I'm screwed for the rest of my life. So they actually planned on doing radiation for 3 years to get rid of the AVM, which that was what I was planning on doing at the time. So that was really tough because it's like I would never be able to play hockey. It's like if I get hit again, it could pop. So the same thing could happen. And then I got home to the University of Chicago, and that's where they gave me the second opinion of being able to do surgery. And the doctor came in and he gave me the option to do the surgery the next week. And he was very confident about it. He told me he could do it. He was like, he never really had any doubt about it. But so I just said right away, I trust him and I think he could do the surgery to get it removed. Right after the surgery, I spent a lot of time at home. I came back from the hospital after a week, and it was just tough being at home alone a lot of the times, just sitting there thinking like, why me, or why this happened? You know, it's like, this is the most random thing ever, and it's just, I would never think this would happen to me or anyone I know. So it all just happened really fast, so that was the hardest part. It just happened, and I was pretty much I relied on my doctors, you know, I trusted them. I really wasn't trying to get myself psyched out. I was kind of just letting everything happen. And the hardest part was just wanting to go back so bad and wanting to be back to normal. And knowing I would be, I just had to wait and kind of get better every day, which has happened. And I think I'm pretty happy where I'm at now. Basically, everyone at school is just still in shock that I'm back this soon and back to normal and have like long hair again and like just seems like nothing happened. And it's just weird because they all saw me from the beginning of this year when it was like, no one knows what's gonna happen. It was really hard to explain to them exactly what was happening. Definitely now I love spending time with everyone more. It's like, even though I get to see them all the time now, it's like, I remember how much I missed all my friends and like family and stuff when I was in the hospital. So I kind of just appreciate that more. Not being able to play hockey right now, it was really tough for me after. That's why it was always really tough for me to like go and watch the practices and games. It was just like, it's frustrating, you know, you want to just be out there and be normal and just, because you know like deep down you can play hockey. It's just like there's certain things that aren't in place yet in terms of like medical reasons, but physically you always just think, especially as a hockey player, you're like, I don't care what happened, like I can play or I'm okay. I kind of just want to tough it out.
It's a tough decision. The hardest thing we do in sports medicine is determining whether somebody can return to play or not. And this is one of those classic cases.
And you know, like I still like have dreams or like think about like what it feels like to be in a real game, because that's like a feeling that not a lot of people get to have, being in like a really intense hockey game. So that's just like one thing I know I'll always never forget, but it's at the same time it's like I want to do it again and I don't want to stop now. So it's really motivating, but at the same time it's like it kind of sucks that it got taken away like that. In a weird way, it affected my life almost in a very positive way. I think I've learned a lot more about myself and like what I want to do with my future, because I almost had like all of it taken away from me in a way where it's like you don't realize that I was really lucky, or like people tell me all the time how lucky I was. So that's kind of like what I take away from it. I'm not really like sad about why I had brain surgery or how I missed a whole semester of school, a season of hockey. It's like, if this didn't happen to me, then like who knows, like maybe I wouldn't be happy where I am at that point. So I kind of embraced it and just taken it in a more positive way, where I'm really proud of like what I'm doing and like how I'm recovering and how I've become a better person from it. I do think I'll play again if all goes well. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now in my life, especially just getting back in like school and like working out and like still getting my body back to normal. I just want to be better than before the surgery, not just like my brain, but like overall like body and just like health and just taking care of myself more. My goals from here on out are pretty much to just live a not normal life, you know, because so much of the time in the hospital is like, okay, I want to just be normal, get back to normal. And then after all of it, I kind of realized like I don't really want to be normal. You know, normal was like before this all happened, where I'm going to school, doing all that stuff. But I kind of want to just live my life now with like, you know, like anything can happen at any time, so you gotta just like live every day and just do as much as you can while you have the time to.